Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the VCTs. Moving into day 2 of the action here now on our Bravo stream. My name is Blue. Joining me here on the broadcast is Stokes, and we couldn't be more excited to be bringing you the matches here today. We've already seen plenty of exciting ones throughout yesterday's action, as well as the weeks leading up to this event, but things get even more intense today. We've already locked in 2 of our teams heading to Berlin. Now we need to figure out who that third one is going to be. Stokes, how are we feeling about what we've seen already from yesterday and what we potentially are going to see here today?
We've already had an exciting set of matches, John. It's been so much fun already. I mean, a lot of things happening with a lot of these teams right now, especially FaZe Clan, one that's we've been seeing recently. And we're going to be seeing again today as well, that I'm looking very, very forward to seeing.
Absolutely the case. Well, before we get too deep into discussing the action today, we do want to go over a quick recap of what went down yesterday. Let's get to it and review the action from day 1 of the playoffs.
Gonna slip around the back. This could actually cut FaZe's offense into 2. And actually, it's gonna turn FaZe engaged. Neptune's gonna stick on in. Spirit coming up. 10 wants to beat through it. And he finds himself 2. One more available. Able to still dismiss on the backside of the Hunter's Spear. Over the side, they completely isolate, looking for Shake to peek. Yeah, Sid gets that kill. No problem. More and Sid for 3.
Marvin's in such a dirty position. TSM, they'll rush in, find one at least.
Maybe gonna pick the dash away. That's no running back left.
And a second for Austin.
4 of them still already going back. They're ready for this hold. Outgo's, yeah, gonna be able to get one, but in the firing range for Ye once again. Is he gonna be the sole entry on this site? Ye
Got another.
farming in this map thus far, and another pistol round where he's able to farm up eco cracks, make it an ace for Ye.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. An excellent day number 1 for our North American Challengers division. You can already see Sentinels and 100 Thieves being our 2 teams to make it through and lock their positions in for Berlin. Today and throughout the rest of our days, we're going to figure out who our third is going to be, as well as who comes out of the North American Regional. You can see the bracket right in front of you there. Any standout matches that you're looking forward to seeing here, Stokes?
For me, it's got to be TSM up against Rise Nation. I mean, honestly, these guys have been so electric recently, and I just want to see what TSM can do against this team. But also in the lower bracket, you and I will be casting FaZe versus LG into whoever wins that going up against Envy. There's just so much action here today, John.
Today is all about survival on both of our streams, both here, the one you're watching now, as well as over on the main stream over on twitch.tv/nerdstream, where you guys, if you're interested, can go ahead and check out Rise versus TSM, which is also going to be going on right now. But here on this stream, we're focusing on FaZe versus LG, and we can dive directly into that now, starting off by talking about these 2 teams here in the matchup. Let's start with LG, who unfortunately didn't have the greatest initial showing in their matchup yesterday.
Now, Luminosity has not been having a great showing recently either. Currently on a 3-match loss streak, but they're looking to try and bring it back today, and I definitely think they can, especially if they can try and reinforce around your boy Dre, who up against Xset had a really, really good match. It was just the rest of the team was not there to support him.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like the case. We also saw Moose being brought into the fold, now replacing another player who has now gone back onto the bench. And Moose, well, we did see occasional impact from him. It wasn't really much to be expected, considering it was his first time back in the saddle in quite a long time. That's going to be the focus for, I think, both of us here as we look at hopefully a renewed LG going into day 2. Is who else is going to be available to step up to the plate against what's going to be a very aggressive opponent, throwing a lot of the same issues that LG dealt with them yesterday again here today. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and I'm so happy you said that, because that's exactly what we're looking at here. We're looking at a very aggressive team in the likes of FaZe, and this is something that Luminosity could not deal with yesterday inside of their matchup against Xset, losing 6-13 on Haven and 5-13 on Split. But again, your boy Dre still having a great performance in that. He actually had the best ACS in that series of a 259. But looking across the pond now over towards FaZe Clan, these guys have made quite a ruckus. Not a raucous, but a ruckus overall inside of Valorant as of late. I mean, this is just one of those most action-packed teams in all of NA Valorant, and the standout has got to be Baby Bay.
Definitely the standout for sure, but not so much the case when it came to yesterday's play. This team still struggled quite a bit in their own matchup versus 100 Thieves, mainly, in my opinion at least, due to just how strong 100 Thieves looked, and that knocked out a lot of the individual prowess we're used to seeing out of FaZe Clan here, really only leaving, for me at least, Baby J as a bit of a highlight yesterday on a role that we wouldn't really expect to see that from, so they as well are hopefully going to be able to pick things up a little bit today, especially now that they're going to be going up against LG.
Yeah, Baby J, an incredible player and showing that yesterday, but Baby Bay finally meeting his match and really just couldn't get the ball rolling, ended up right in the middle of the scoreboard there, and that's not something that we're really used to seeing, so we'll see if Baby Bay can adjust today and really show us what he can do on that jet once again.
We could take a look as well at the two players we want to focus on going into this matchup, our head-to-head graphic, as we are going to have both of those players pretty much ready to go. But before we get to that, I think we do have a little bit from the FaZe Clan members themselves. They want to talk about how they were getting prepared for this event and how they're shaping up for today's match. So let's take a listen.
Starting from Overwatch, coming to this game was actually an advantage for us because like Counter-Strike players really underrated ability usage early on. And like I think in Counter-Strike it was more passive holding defaults, and like we started like a trend of like playing aggressive and like using abilities like to push the space of like the areas we wanted to take.
And it just works for us, right? Obviously, like everybody like has their own way of using utility and stuff like that. But I think since we're from the game that we're in and it's so fast paced, we were able to think of the game in a different way than the teams.
Having a good grasp of like what abilities do, what are they capable of, and kind of being able to thread them into pushes or takes or just small micro transactions and stuff like that inside the game. Definitely had the greater advantage for sure.
That's why we were so dominant early on, and like we had like so much pop-off potential.
After having such a hot streak on stage 1, when my team lost in the finals to Sentinels, even though that was the only team that beat us, we make that very clear, we, for some reason as a team, decided to switch up everything. And I think that ultimately led to our downfall in stage 2. I mean, we stopped playing the Schmeeg playstyle. So the definition of Schmeeging for me is just getting in there and like just taking over, like just absolutely just you turn your brain off and you just go. Like you literally just go and you just outgun the enemy team. That's what it is. You just overwhelm them and you just take it over.
So I think during that time we were a little unsure of our own identity.
It just felt like, you know, we lost and we were like, oh, like clearly what we're doing isn't good enough. And well, we should just be like Sentinels. But here's the thing, you know, in this game, you're not going to be the best copying other people. You have to make your own play style and do what's best for your own team.
Obviously, I think we've had a good grasp now that we do have an identity and we do have a general idea of what we like to do. So all it is confidence and playing to our strengths.
You know, we kind of got our swagger back a little bit.
In previous time, FaZe would have gotten stopped and wouldn't be able to pick up the momentum. But nowadays, FaZe is able to adapt to what is coming to them, even if they get stopped in their track. So we're able to kind of adapt and change the game to our own pace.
So right now, the hardest team in the tournament right now is going to be 100 Thieves, and whatever the next team is, like it's going to be one by one by one. That'll be the hardest team for us to play no matter what it is. As long as we have the mindset that we have to beat this team first, anything that comes after it, we'll be able to prepare and like do our own thing.
We are definitely the most aggressive team, I think. I don't want to say in the game, but like in North America for sure. Nobody does aggression better than us.
We thrive in madness. We want to fight and we want to just keep using our guns and like our abilities just to like non-stop fight. And we kind of just want to, I think we're just like the most alpha team. That's the best way to explain it. Like we are not afraid. People, like some teams that are so afraid to take duels, like risk their life. They're afraid to die. They'll lose the match if they die. It's just like, no, we just want to go out there and like put on a clinic.
I don't know what it is about it. It's just, maybe that's just why the Schmeeg playstyle works so well too. It's because once you start just hitting a site over and over and you know they can't do anything about it, like you just keep going and they're like, oh no, they know what you're gonna do, but it's like they can't do anything about it.
We thrive in the chaos. We love the chaos.
For these alpha Schmeeg players, we're going to see how well they shape up to the competition today. Their playstyle should match up pretty well against LG, who was suffering due to some aggression coming at them from X yesterday. We can talk more about that in a minute, though. Now it's time to take a look at our head-to-head graphic. We've got two players we wanted to highlight going into this matchup that we think gave us a great performance in yesterday and are going to be very pivotal today. It's going to be the Jets from either side. Stokes, what are we looking at here?
What else would you expect inside of this head-to-head? I mean, it's got to be Baby Bay versus your boy Dre. And as you said, it's going to be the Jets in here. We did see Dre playing a little bit of Raze yesterday as well. But either way, I think this is a perfect example of what is going to need to happen for Luminosity to have a chance up against FaZe. We're going to need to see Dre pop off again. But as we were talking about earlier, we need to see the team form around him. You heard it here first by the members of FaZe. They want to get in your face. They want to get aggressive. They want to make you uncomfortable in what you're doing. This is not Counter-Strike, folks. This is VALORANT, and we're here to play. And I mean, with that in mind, I don't know how this works out for Luminosity. They have to be ready for this aggression.
Yeah, they have to be ready for the aggression, and more importantly, they have to be ready to fend it off, too. Yesterday versus XSET, specifically on places like Haven C site, we were seeing them constantly give up control and try to play for a retake while never really having the initiation necessary to play into that playstyle and successfully get back onto the site. So that's the main focus for me. But as well, I think we're getting closer to match time now, so we can take a peek at the maps and see where exactly these two teams are going to be dueling off at as we get closer and closer to the start of our first map. We need to see what that first map is going to be, and it's going to start working its way onto the board now. Ascent up first, followed by Split as the second selection comes in from LG, and then finally Bind to round out the series if we need to go all the way to 3 maps.
Very solid best of 3 here, and some suspected bans here, especially on Luminosity's side with the Breeze ban. They've only played it twice recently, so want to get that off the board. And FaZe just opting Icebox out, just don't want to deal with it. So great set of maps here that really could go either way.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't see Luminosity wanting to test the Breeze ban at all there. There was a little bit of, in my opinion, shaky performance from FaZe Clan on that yesterday. So maybe could have tried to see if they could bait them to banning it, or maybe even wanting to work it out. But like you said, we've been seeing that get banned out by Luminosity on almost every single occasion. So if it's truly not ready, then there's nothing much we can do about that. But either way, though, once again, a good breadth of these maps to play out should test the limits of both of these teams. But as I'm sure you guys at home can probably guess at this point, for the both of us here, we're really looking to LG to make the majority of the improvements. Based on what I saw yesterday, I think FaZe is in for a pretty strong rebound already going into this matchup. They were limited heavily because of the playmaking capabilities that were coming matchup versus 100 Thieves, and their inability to either catch that or respond to it appropriately. It's not going to be as big of an issue here in this matchup, so I think that they'll be feeling pretty confident going into it.
Yeah, honestly, if we have to boil it down and just make it, you know, consumable for everyone, I don't know if Luminosity has an Asuna diff. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But Dre could possibly be that for them today. But as you and I have been reinforcing this whole time, it's about what LG can do with Dre and the people around him, not what Dre can do. He's been the top performer for this team for quite some time, and honestly, I don't see that changing up anytime soon. On the side of 100 Thieves up against FaZe, it's because they had all of those members around them to support Asuna in the frags that he was getting. So that's what we're looking into, folks. We need LG to step up to the plate and really take it to FaZe.
All right, folks, looks like it's time to hop into our very first map. So let's get to it and see who will survive to continue the journey, possibly on to Berlin. Will it be FaZe or will it be LG? Well, you guys are going to be finding out over the next few hours here as we work our way through this series. Ascent is going to be our first map, and we're heading into the Agent Select now.
All right, well, let's get right into it, shall we? Ascent locked in, and some usual suspects across the board. Tig standing out right here as well with that lock-in of the Astra. Went away for a little bit, but coming back into the mix after everyone was like, hey, you know, the nerfs really weren't that bad, and she's still a pretty good agent, and yes, she is. Well, as for the rest of the lineup there for Luminosity, Dre is going to be locking in the Reyna.
See Astra once again remaining a strong pick, as I'm sure you guys heard talked about quite a bit yesterday. She can still find quite a bit of use due to the myriad of utilities she can provide to any given execute, especially on a map like Ascent where your options for those executes are going to be so varied. The capability to peel back those stars if a sudden change up to the call is made is a very potent thing to bring to the table. Only going to be seeing one wall brought to the table, though, for our defenders, currently being LG here. So FaZe will have to deal with that going into the second half, but they will trade that out, getting that little bit of extra aggression to respond to it. Most notable thing here, though, no Jet coming on to the LG side of things. That separation, especially on entry, going to be a little bit harder to achieve. Going to have to rely on their abilities and gun skill to get them into the site when it comes time, to jump onto the attack.
Honestly, I'm a pretty big fan of this for LG. You know, the big differences between Jet and Reyna is mostly, obviously, like, Jet has verticality, which is a really big thing. You get on top of boxes,
like
you can dash all the way across the map. There's so many... What's up?
Kind of like blinds versus separations in a way, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Depends on which camp you subscribe to.
Exactly. Like, for instance, right, BabyBay has a set distance on his dash with the tailwind, whereas Dre can actually cancel his recall any moment in time, or his dismiss, excuse me, which makes it to where he can get out of, precarious situations really, really easy, whereas BabyBay may be sliding into something new. But as we know, BabyBay likes his aggression, and we're going to be starting off with that here yet again. Moose not actually having any info of where he is. He'll start hopping for lane. He'll pick up one as well, but now it's a flood onto site, and it's only Moose as he gets taken down. BabyBay trying to stem the tide here at stairs as some shock darts coming. It's a retake for Luminosity as the spike's not down yet.
Hesitant push from both teams, but FaZe is going to be able to work their way into the pit and get the plant here on B. Still bleeding players, but responding in kind as they're going to mop up the remaining resistance from LG. LG always in that fight, but unfortunately never really able to get themselves in an advantageous position. Just trade their way down to a loss as FaZe take control of the opening pistol. BabyBay and Zachary picking up 2 kills on the inside of that opening round.
And we're already seeing the aggression come out from FaZe inside of the pistol. And this is exactly where you want to do it as well. Start things off right and get right into sight. That's what we see from BabyBay as he's inside of B main and just slides right out through lane with that tailwind. And that's what we're talking about with the aggression and the differences between these two. You have that tailwind always available on Jet, and it just allows you to cover that distance how you want to and really get in the face of the opponent. Unlucky on LG's end as well as Moose, just not able to identify where BabyBay was.
Old orb here for BabyBay, not going to be giving out too much intel considering it is a light bot round regardless here, and actually going to be seeing light investment for BabyBay paying off as well as the team creeps up further onto A main, starting to push their way in through the tunnel. Raucus as well, getting all the intel from the Aldrone. Man, there is a lot of intel coming his way. 3 separate players get spotted out on the inside of that drone. That'll be the siren call for FaZe to actually peel back here and try to go for some more pressure, more than likely leaning into B, but obviously towards mid here as well, as the rotate will take them over that part of the map.
LG playing quite far back here right now. Don't want to try and give anything up too early here. Just looking for these frags mostly. Want to deal damage to FaZe's economy as they start to clear through B main. Drone stacked inside. Nebula's down and BabyBay out, but he'll be the first one gone. And Dazzle follows up with a beautiful shot from the Sheriff. He'll take down BabyJ. Both the babies gone and FaZe down to a 5v3. It's only 35 seconds as well as LG had a fantastic read on A and swing things across the map.
So bringing it down. Very low numbers here for FaZe. Not only that, but Tig is going to hear this movement through the arches. Might even be able to get one. There we go. Oh! Kill for Tig. As the spike goes down, Corey will respond with 2 of his own, but now he's completely surrounded. At least an easy job to deal with the market doorway. Only had a sliver of HP left on it, but getting further than that, that's going to be the tough ask. LG steal the second round away from FaZe and immediately tie us up.
Right here. That's a lot of gun upgrades there for LG. If you guys didn't notice, Corey actually ended up buying a Phantom that round, so that's going to be a huge detriment to his personal economy. We'll have to see how FaZe want to try and reconcile with this situation now that it's 1-1, but LG definitely in the power position, at least going into round 3.
Yeah, definitely a good play coming out from LG overall, not being hesitant to get in the faces of this FaZe execute. And that's right from the very start, too. LG with an excellent read. They had rotated all their players into A. The Aldrone spotted them all, and I think they made a call right there that they're probably going to rotate away from this given the player count, and they're correct to assume so. They keep most of their assets over towards B as they are able to re-rotate them, and that still gets in the way of the FaZe execute. Eventually, they're out of time. They've got to go headfirst, yes, into a bunch of pistols, but it's pistols that could shoot on that last round, and as such, they're able to tie it up, fend off the aggression, and put us at 1-1. Corey has himself an interesting play right here as he tries to hide on the inside of a Nebula, only to go down. Unfortunately, the Sheriff shot's just not lining up. Another kill going to be found from LG here as Tig also picks up Raucus.
Unfortunate, and it happens yet again. BabyBay trying to creep up through mid as he gets into defender spawn. It'll be Dre there, lying in wait. Now it's all down to Zachary, who's top mid right now. He'll be able to get one. Knows one went through the smoke, but he doesn't know where Dre is currently. He tries to hop up, but it's a quick shot from Dre here as he'll send the dagger through the heart and pick up round 2. LG in the lead.
He's trying to take a much slower path inside of that round, hoping to capitalize on some of the aggression from LG, but it does not pan out in any single individual fight that we see right there. LG very much ready for those tricky positions that were deployed by FaZe, and as such, they make quick work of the second anti-eco round to clean things up there from FaZe. It also takes us through the eco pretty quickly for FaZe. They still had some money built up from the initial pistol win, so they're going to be able to buy in with full rifles pretty quickly here onto round number 4, full shields and everything as well. A little bit light on the utility for a few players, but certainly is going to be enough to make it execute. Let's see if it'll work out well, though, is LG still going to get aggressive. They know that they're in an advantageous position when it comes to the utility here, so they're going to try to use that with some extra pressure coming out very early on towards A main.
This is great so far from LG. It was a quad stack on the A site. Way they could push at least 3 into the lobby area. And not really get too much there from FaZe. Not even a really good read either. It's going to be some utility usage as FaZe backs up and starts working their way towards mid. Start for them. Also holding on to B lobby, waiting to see if they can possibly work their way on to B. But Luminosity have done a bang-up job of stemming FaZe, keeping them back away from these sites, at least inside of these last 2 rounds where they've been able to read FaZe and make sure that they know exactly what's going on across the map, and they do it yet again. The timing perfect for Dre. He'll move up, claim a life, and immediately dismiss his way back to spawn.
So Zachary going down for FaZe here. Only 1 loss so far. This is a very, very slow procedure for FaZe, which is not something we're used to getting out of them. For the time being, it's working, though. They are incredibly slowly picking up little bits of map control. It's only just now that they're finally going to start to encroach into LG's territory. And even that continues to go well for FaZe. Corey picking up 1 towards Market. They are going to have to deal with the Killjoy utility still deployed deep into the B site. This will funnel them into Moose as he gets the first response here. Will they be able to keep that going? Looks like not, as a Proto is going to be caught on the rotate. Dazzle and Moose, though, still holding strong inside of the depths of the B site, where now FaZe need to try and hop into, but they can't get it done. Raucus fended off, and LG pick up a 3rd.
I think we've all been in the position that Raucus is in. You get a good recon bolt out there, you get some information, and the wall just doesn't let you shoot through it, John, so very unfortunate. But either way, LG up 3-1, and Blue, they are reading FaZe so very well. This has been played out extremely strong so far from the defense. It's been very impressive what they've been able to procure so far. They start off with that clear of the A lobby. They see nothing, and they know FaZe is more than likely backing off and starting to work mid. So what do? Well, they give it a little bit of time. They set Dre inside of defensive spawn and wait to see if they try to push mid, which is exactly what they did. You have the Reyna deal with that. They start trying to collapse on B, but they've already made the rotate. KJ started off by herself, and, well, everything falls into LG's lap from there, and it seems like it's going to do the same here, at least off rip, as Dre gets the first blood onto Zachary.
Dre continuing to excel in the early rounds here. First kill of it, once again, going over to LG. It's going to send FaZe reeling back as they were hoping to maintain some of that mid pressure to keep the rotates off of their back when they went in through AMA. Now no longer going to be a secured thing. It's Baby Bay here. Now, Blade Storm going to see if he can make something work with it. Has the pressure on the mid arches, although doesn't seem to have perfect intel as to where exactly the position of Dre is. Knows for sure now, though, and the quick right click to deal with Dre's presence will hand over half of Market to FaZe and the entire thing as well. The Sage is not one to mess with that, so he'll be backed up incredibly quickly. However, there's a reason for it. Tig can still work his way out through Catwalk, shut down Raucus, and re-equalize things into the favor of the defense. Push it even further now as well. Everything quickly falling to Baby Bay in that Blade Storm, but it's not going to pan out. Moose cuts him down. Baby J, now the last one left standing. Tig picks up 1 more frag to seal the deal for LG as they claim a 4th here on this anti-eco.
FaZe have got to switch something up with this mid clear right now, or at least the mid take, because they're being read out on this every single time. LG constantly waiting for them to try and push up. That time it was a little bit earlier there as we see Dre get aggressive, but he just hadn't before, and that was definitely the opportune moment as he took down the only smoker that they have, minus Baby Bay. But as we all know, those cloud bursts go away pretty dang quickly. So LG now 4-1, and while the economy across the board for FaZe right now not looking too hot, this is looking like the last round that they're going to be able to fold by until they have to go for an eco.
Really pressure there from FaZe to at least try to get them towards the inside of B main. Won't pan out, so they're going to switch it over to Market instead. Corey working his way in, just chucks the showstopper over towards the defender spawn. Unfortunately, not to too much success, and even worse, your boy Dre is going to be able to fend off Corey entirely when he tries to push out onto the B site. We do have the Divide coming out to assist LG here also, so FaZe yet another obstacle to deal with as they push their way in. This time, though, they're able to deal with it. Zachary taking down a Proto. It's not long, though, before LG's inside team continues to rip apart this execute. Baby Bay with 1 more for the attack, but it's a very small gesture at this point. Baby Bay, though, feeling that one away, puts it all onto himself, taking down Dazzle, moving the 1v3 down to a 1v2, but what else can be done for Baby Bay here? Still has to try and retrieve the spike, as well as figure out the location of these remaining LG members. It's certainly not impossible, but as we've already seen in the past, will be a very, very tough task to complete. Spike retrieved, at the very minimum. He's not getting an incredibly aggressive LG looking to hunt him down because its position is somewhat obscured. So he's allowed out of the B site. Good amount of time left, too. All this action occurring pretty much right at the start of the round. So Baby Bay having a good 50 seconds at the start of this 1v2 to make his play. Now down to about 20, of course. So we'll need to speed things up. And the Killjoy for the defense going to be hearing his footsteps in a moment. Knows that this play is going to be executing out onto A. Oh, no. We're also going to have to see the dash used to get past Molly on the ground here. Baby Bay will still be able to get it onto the ground. Can he escape, though, as the Cloudburst obscures him only for that slight second after the plants? It's an immediate trade from Moose as it goes away, and a 5th round going on the board for LG.
This is just so difficult for FaZe right now, and you know, it's all over the board. We've been talking about their mid takes and how LG's been able to thwart that almost every single time thus far, but now FaZe try and go for a full take onto the B site, but it's very slow moving, especially for a FaZe take, and then it's allowing time to for LG to rotate and really start to take out a lot of these members. It's really not even these gunfights that they're able to procure right now. We've had a lot of LG members just sneaking in through the back end of these smokes and stuff like that, and taking out a few very key members when it comes to trying to clear out site and get control. So it's just been very difficult for FaZe so far. We'll see if they can change this up going forward, but more than likely not inside of this round, as they will be on that eco once again.
On the opposite side of the coin, this is a great shift for LG compared to what we were seeing from them yesterday versus XSET. They're more confident on the defense. They're more willing to take fights versus the members of FaZe, especially on rounds like this. We're going to see Dre running out. Unfortunately, can't connect that second shot, but he's got trade support available on Cap. Tig's immediately going to be able to swing, make sure that LG stays at an advantage. Things go down to a 4v3 here. However, at the cost of allowing a few FaZe members out onto the A site. Not the entire team, and more importantly, not the spike. So we're still going to be a couple moments away from the plant here. LG has a moment to breathe at least.
FaZe does as well, as they've been sitting on A here for about 30 seconds, just simply waiting for Baby J to rotate, pick up Spike and spawn, and get this planted. It's going to be a Defender KJ ult out now, so we'll see what can possibly go down with this. Tig getting very aggressive, trying to take out one, going for the second one, but Coral to clean him up instead. And that'll be a gun upgrade for him going into this. Looking to retake here now and try and get some control over this Spike, as obviously it has been planted. A Proto going to start the defuse. They'll get one, but it's an ice wall. Nade out. Will it get it done? A Proto goes to stick, and it will be secured. Dazzle with a nice 2K to round it out, and LG 6-1.
A little scrappy to get the job done, but not too much of an issue for LG. I would imagine their economy has to be sitting nice and pretty by this point here, considering the streak they've been able to go on for themselves. Those few trades in the midst of the round not going to cause the loss of too much sleep over in the LG camp. Very, very strong positions being shown up by this team. Like I already said at the beginning of the round, too, especially on these anti-ecos, they're not giving FaZe any room to breathe at all, which is leading to a much slower, much more composed FaZe than we're used to seeing here, as they are double-checking things before they go and second-guessing themselves, which is causing issues, as we're seeing very much by the scoreboard.
Yeah, you know, it's just really weird to see the style that FaZe is playing right now after the video that we saw earlier before the matchup, you know, started. Smeeg, we want to get in your face, we want to get aggressive and try and use our abilities and our gun power to take you down. They're still getting aggressive with their peaks, it's just that LG seems so ready for all of this aggression. Baby Bay going to head things off yet again here. Ends up missing the first shot down through tree. Has one on generator as a Proto, simply playing patiently right now. It's going to be an owl drone out, and the last time that we had this situation, we did have FaZe rotate off. They're going to get some good info on the tree player, so a Proto will be backed off, but still have gen control. No hard rotates from LG either, as FaZe are trying to make their way through Ascent.
Aldrin working its way out. Once again, great intel coming in from Dazzle right there to figure out there is going to be some presence on the cat play. Hunter's Fury as well connecting, and a kill against Baby J. Tig is able to get one on side of the site. I believe a Proto finds an exchange as well after Tig goes down, so that gen position still going to be secured. This could be the big change though. Zachary walking to the inside of Garden, unfortunately only for one, so the control phase desperately needed goes away just a second later. It's all going to come down to Raucus. Is unfortunately still stuck way outside of A main. Hasn't even been able to get into the site yet. Those two shock darts at minimum allow for the dealing with a Proto, but now you've got this killer cross to work past. This is so tough. Gets the job done and even has the transition up to Moose, but Moose very much ready for the trade himself. Ensures that this round is not lost and that the 7-1 scoreline goes into the favor of LG.
Yeah, Raucus needed a couple of milliseconds there, and he more than likely would have been able to take the head off of Tig. But speaking of Tig, this guy is blowing everybody out of the water right now. 11 frags through 8 rounds, John, and that's all on Astra. Heck of a game so far for him. Hopefully he can keep it up. But the thing that's really standing out for me for LG right now is how they're using these ults. They know that round is going to be so difficult for FaZe. If they lose it, they're going to be back onto the Sheriffs, back on the Eco, trying to get some money back in their pockets. So what do? They get aggressive with that Hunter's Fury. They try to get the pick to limit what FaZe can possibly do, and it just works out so beautifully for them, and it's going to happen again. The aggression taken from LG on the Eco round, as they now know where 2 more members of FaZe are, and they're inside of mid as their numbers dwindle to 1.
They do not want to let FaZe get away with anything on the inside of these rounds. If they're not fully bought, we're going to shut them down, and that's a nice catch from LG, as FaZe was also struggling with this in their matchup yesterday versus 100 Thieves, not able to get any pistols for themselves. FaZe was constantly dealing with the detrimented economy, had much less opportunities to come in with buy rounds, and weren't really able to capitalize on anything on their ecos either, because the 100 Thieves was shutting them down so proficiently. That same exact thing is now occurring versus LG, and FaZe is dealing with the consequences of it. There are so many of just these sheriff bot rounds. Finally, of course, going to see another gun round coming up here, but it's really limiting their playmaking capability when they're constantly being forced just onto a full eco nearly.
Oh, numbers out for Dre. Back inside of B main. He's been rotating around so much, forcing FaZe to question where his position's going to be. Can it be mid? Can it be B? Even possibly tree. You never really know with this guy, but all you really can know is that there's going to be some aggression inside of this match, and finally it's FaZe to pop off first. They'll get 2 big kills. Showstopper out. It's not going to land. Tig will finally fire back. Corey gets 1, but oh no. It's all down to Moose. He'll be able to really not do much, as Raucus and the rest of FaZe have full control of A, and possibly a spike plant for some more money, but that's not going to go through. Although FaZe finally getting around on the board in some rifles.
New arena kind of opening up there. Haven't seen a whole lot of fights going on into B main throughout this half so far, and unfortunately we're probably not going to see a whole lot of it overall, so we're almost at the end of the half. But either way, definitely an area where LG had not fought FaZe a lot up until that point. FaZe able to finally get a positional advantage to play off of there on the inside of B main, and then work it out onto the site as well. Gotta give credit to Raucus as well for clearing things out there at the end, making sure, once again, we've already had a few rounds get down to close trades there, but this time Raucus seals the deal and makes sure that FaZe stays in control of it, not LG. You know, how much more FaZe can get for themselves. Only these 2 rounds left inside of the half. Let's see if it'll be 8-4, if LG will go right back into full control here. Oh, we'll see both of the divides coming out here as well. Splits the A site into thirds here, but still, because of that, FaZe not feeling the full confidence to run out just as of yet. A good find from Baby J at least gets them the opening 5v4 advantage. It's against Tig, though, who they've already fought aggressively in this type of a situation many times before. There is a call from LG to actually pull back here away from Heaven, possibly to suggest it was coming to B. They quickly turn tail on that one and head back towards the site. Problem is, FaZe has caught this. FaZe has walked right in for free for themselves, and they're going to get the plant as a result of that misread from LG.
So very well done from FaZe, but now it comes down to the hard part. Can they win this in the post plant? They got all of the LG members off of site, didn't have to deal with the utility, and now they have the control necessary. Baby Jade had started off Zachary with another kill, slinging into tree. Baby Bay gonna follow it up as well. It's all down to Dazzle and Rafters. He'll at least get 1 for his pleasure, but as you know about the flank coming up into window, he's prepared for it, but Zachary's just that much better. It's gonna be 2 rounds in a row now when FaZe desperately needed them.
Extra trickery coming out from FaZe this time. They're able to mask themselves behind those cosmic divides, and like I said, didn't really catch what was the siren call for LG to start rotating towards B, but whatever it was ended up not being correct, and as a result of that, LG have to quickly move back from their spawn into the site. By that point, FaZe already has full control. LG at that point still has to wait for their B player to rotate over and all that as well, and I believe they were still already down a player at that point in the round, so FaZe with some great control. They're finally putting their footing down. Unfortunately, it's happened a little late in the half here, so at best, it's going to lead to a 4-8. Let's hold our breath for a moment. We still have this one final round. Baby Bay has the Blade Storm ready to go too, and he's not going to waste any time. Hopping his way right through market towards the inside of the site. Got to be a little careful. His Killjoy turret, annoying as always. He'll check the deep corner, make sure his teammates are going to be safe here, and now fully commit with the turret gone. It's these 2 players inside of the pit, though, that have been a constant problem for FaZe on these B executes. Let's see if they both can do the job to stop it. No, they're not going to be able to this time. Both Dazzle and Moose, only 1 kill for themselves, and the rest of the site over to FaZe.
And this is what we've been looking to FaZe to do this entire time. They continue to get caught out and around the market and hut area, but this time around, not the case. They get the entries onto site necessary, and they get the spike down as well. Now it's down to LG with a true retake here to try and win this out. Last round here as well, so it's do or die. Use all of this utility, use everything you got in your pockets, and we'll see if it can get done. Dre will at least get it down to a 3 versus 3, so he'll take out Raucus on the box. He's got one down low, but he can't land the flick. Corey to reinforce the swing on lane as all three are stacked, and it's going to be Zachary with a classic burst onto lane and a hop, stop, and skip on over to the second half. Nice recall there from FaZe as they'll finally get something on the board here and at least make it 4-8.
FaZe finally able to get some solid placement going for themselves here at the end of the half. That's a problem, though, only occurring towards the end of the half. Still leaves LG in a controlling position. Definitely a solid defense from them. We'll see if their attack will be just as solid, though. We got a quick break, folks, and the second half is coming up right after this. Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the VCT playoffs for challengers in North America. We're closer and closer to pushing our teams in North America towards Berlin. In fact, 2 of them have already been decided. Here on our stream today, we're working on figuring out the third. It's survival is the theme of the day here, as both of our streams, I believe, are showing our lower bracket elimination matches. This is one of them right here. Luminosity getting an incredibly strong start on the defensive half versus FaZe. Time to see if FaZe can kick it back a little bit here with 4 rounds coming off their attack on their own defensive side. As we're getting started with that second half right here, right now.
And get those tiki torches out, because I think we're going to be extinguishing one of these teams here in a second. It's going to be a trade in mid to start us off. The aggression out from both squads, and this is what we were expecting throughout most of this series. From what we saw from LG on that defensive end, the utility really working into their favor up against FaZe's play style, where they simply just could not brute force their way around this utility, especially on the A site with the Astra Sage stack. It was just so very difficult for them. But now, obviously, the shoes on the other foot. It's going to be LG on offense as they start to push things in through A main. Spike and everything here as well, including quite a few FaZe members.
Dark going to work its way out here. Big focus for LG going to be on the primary site. Not worry too much about the side rooms just as of yet. They have the Nebula to cover that, and obviously can just keep all their guns pointed at the upper rafters. As we just seen there, Proto making quick work to deal with Raucus. At the same time, FaZe not going to leave the door closed for very long. It'll get open pretty much immediately. Maybe Jay ready to swing, and he'll probably have some support. Unfortunately, the Nano Swarm going to continue to hold him back. That extra utility being brought to the table here by LG really panning out, as they've got the extra player to work with here. In they go as well. LG continuing to frag out everyone from FaZe that tries to peek into this site. Dies a moment or two later. Baby J sneaks in for 1, but that'll be the end of it. It's a solid pistol picked up again here by LG, and that cannot be good news for FaZe with already a 5-round deficit at the very beginning of the second half.
Yeah, this is so very difficult for FaZe right now. And just looking across that scoreboard, folks, Corey, the only one with the solid score line right now at 12 and 12. Everyone else negative currently for FaZe, and that's not something that we see happen to them too often. So LG, a massive changeup from what we saw from them yesterday coming into today, and it mostly looks like they're down to make the plays now, John. They want to get in your face. They're providing the stacks. They want to try and take away some of these players early on, or really at any moment that they can try and see fit, and it's really working into their favor, and we'll see if it happens yet again here. It's a full mid take here for LG as they flood out of tiles right into market. They'll pop the door immediately as Baby J will be the first point of contact.
Baby J ready for the push. Takes him a second attempt, but there's the jumping headshot. It'll be a quick exchange from Dre as he moves in for the rest of LG, though, quickly bringing us down into a 4 versus 4. No other defenses set up there for FaZe, seeing as they're on the eco here, and wanted to heavily stack towards the middle. So Baby J faltering, which means the end of at least the attempt to stop the plant, but we'll see here if the members of FaZe will try to work their way in for retake. Info dart ready to be thrown out there, but unfortunately we've got a barrier orb blocking the way, so it's going to be a moment before that's safely thrown out. In fact, another one from the attackers instead is going to work its way into the opening. Shock dart kill also coming out there from Dazzle amidst the chaos. Baby Bay, the only one left standing on the outskirts of the site here in a 1v4, so probably pretty secured at this point for LG to get that 10th round up on the board. And there you have it, as Tig secures a 3rd on the round.
Tig has no care in the world what operator he is on. He is ready for these gunfights, and oh my, 21, 9, and 6 right now, tied for the most assists and has the most kills on his team. Tig doing the most right now, and you can see why LG went with the roster moves that they did. He looks so very comfortable right now with them.
So very comfortable indeed here. And once again, issues for FaZe. Their opponents being allowed to make these types of plays, not characteristic, excuse me, what we normally see out of FaZe. Obviously in that last round, not much they can do about it, given they had zero economy to play off of. But even inside of the gun rounds, we've seen an uncommon hesitance coming out from this team, which is something that I would have pegged to come out from Luminosity. But it seems teams have kind of flipped from the play styles that we were watching on yesterday's VODs, and making for a very different match than at least what I expected here. LG, though, thriving on those conditions with a 10-4 lead here. To push it even further. Obviously, this round going to be a bit trickier for them due to the bonus buy. They have a lot of scavenged guns from the previous round. FaZe will be full rifles, so a little bit of a difficult challenge here for LG, but they're still prepared for it with a 3-man stack outside of Cat. The fourth one ready to put some pressure to the inside. A good opening find here as well. Baby Bay just standing in the doorway towards Garden. It's caught as a result of that, and the doorway is swung open for LG to start getting aggressive themselves. Dazzle, even aware of this presence on A main, not able to stop it, though only knocks off half the HP from Zachary, and Zachary's going to continue to cause problems here, believe it or not. He sneaks off a second kill from the inside of A main, puts FaZe in an advantageous position.
And it was desperately needed at that moment as well, but now LG will take on to A. They'll have Raptors control as well as Jen. They know Zachary's inside of Wine, but it's actually a flame from behind. Baby J with 1, Baby J with 2 from Raptors. It was all up to Moose to try and get something done, but he was still holding on to B lobby, seeing what was going to go down, so he's going to have to full sprint across the entire map, and he's not going to make it to Tree in time. Zachary waiting for Tree to pop, but Moose thinking about this a little before he goes in for it. He'll pop the door open, has the Sheriff out. Does he check tight left? He does, but Bullet goes a little wide to the left-hand side of Moose's head, or excuse me, Zachary's head, as Moose will go down, and FaZe finally picking up a defensive round.
Definitely a bit of a scrappy one there, nearly still losing it due to the great pressure from LG, working their way out onto the A site, but FaZe quick rotates as well as a detached play in the post plant right there, having their players split into A main, or at least what would have been the post plant, and LG been able to reach that point. But yeah, having those players commit deeper towards A main and maintain those positions caused a lot of issues, especially as we got down towards the 2v2. You could see that last straggling member from LG on the A site really trying to just kind of hold on, wait for the rotate to come in from their last member, but unfortunately did not have the luxury of time to do it under those circumstances there. So great job by FaZe on piecing apart the rest of the execute. Still a little dodgy on the economy side of things as they go down to 2 players there against the bonus buy. So LG are absolutely going to come roaring back in round 16 here with a full buy of their own. FaZe need to survive this one. Then things will start to look a little bit better, assuming that FaZe is still looking for the comeback here against the 5-10 deficit.
Well, slow and steady wins the race right now for Luminosity, as they're still spread across the map. It's going to be Dre on the lurk over near Tree right now, though, is Spike will be moving in towards B main. Plenty of utility down here for FaZe, as well as a triple stack, and this is something that we've been talking back and forth about FaZe and utility difference in between these two teams, and this is what making it somewhat difficult for them right now. They just simply don't have the same amount of utility as LG does, so they're trying to make the most of it right now, though, and this site is looking to actually work out for them if this continues on. Dazzle actually going to get constricted. It's only Moose out onto site. Trying to play the wall right now is FaZe, as they more than likely are going to try and win this off the entry. It's all down to Baby Bay, though, inside of Boathouse. He'll get taken down, and no members try to move forward into the main area of the B site. So it's going to be the retake now for FaZe. They've been boxed out. Zachary on a nice flank. He'll take down Dazzle, make it a 3v3 in between these two. And now Corey with a moment here. Hopefully something that can be game-changing, as they're going to desperately need it for this. This is where the comeback starts, and he'll be able to at least get one. Moose goes down. He'll be able to find the second one, pushing the staircase, and now it's a 1v3. Corey will clean it up. It's a 2K for him and a round for FaZe.
Solid retake coming out there from FaZe. I think LG was hoping to get a little bit more out of Dazzle's position in the corner over there towards Fish Market, as he thought himself he was going to be obscured for a little bit longer, but that flank that came in through B main made quick work of that, and unfortunately just left it into a normal 3v3 post plant, as the members of FaZe had the high ground to push in from both the steps as well as the speedway, try to put that extra pressure on LG, which they did with flying colors. Unfortunately, LG just did not have the positions to play that 3v3 post plant appropriately, and as such faltered down. Big win right there from FaZe, as that is going to temporarily break the LG economy. You can see that put in front of you here now, as most players are going to go down to Sheriffs for the next round here, as they'll try to work something out of this and prevent FaZe from continuing to run this comeback.
Okay, so does FaZe go for the aggressive option here? We'll have to see. LG, actually on the Sheriff buy, as Moose will lose his head in mid. right? Starting to push in through the nebula, but Zachary holding the exit here. Owl drone out, and possibly a dead Dre, and it will be, but it's going to be Corey from Tree instead. Nades out now for him as well, as those paint shells are going to go off at Dazzle's feet. He'll have to escape the Owl drone after he'll tag somebody up, so lucky enough for him, Owl drone going by the wayside just in time, but Dazzle's going to lose his head as well. Proto with a beautiful peek, though. He'll tag up Zachary. Can he get this follow-up shot? He can, but oh no, right into the right shoulder instead. Zachary with the final shot, and FaZe finally coming in with within striking distance of LG here, down 3 rounds.
He's continuing to close that gap, and as well continuing to get a little bit more aggressive on this defensive side now as well, capitalizing on some of the hesitance that we're beginning to see come out of the cracks from LG. For the most part, still some pretty solid strategy for the most part coming out here from the LG roster, but it needs to be kept in mind that they're starting to slow down a little bit because FaZe is throwing more unpredictable things at them. As a result of that, FaZe is starting to take more and more control of the round-to-round action here. We're going to see a great example of this. You can see Baby Bay feeling the confidence now. He'll push out. He's going to go past an Owl drone. It doesn't even get spotted by it, though. The showstopper also here, but that's not going to come out with a win. And unfortunately for Corey, fails to check his top mid, so Tig as well will get another entry here for the members of LG. They'll gain an advantage at 4v3 without any real map control yet. They're still stuck in the middle. We have to see what they do with this before we can make a judgment on it.
And that's the Reyna diff being shown off right there. All for the dismissal. Not able to take any more damage, and it's a tunnel vision there from FaZe onto Tile. They'll end up losing that. A beautiful cam shot as well. Zachary standing inside of Tree, waiting for anyone to push up. It's Dre right now on point as LG are trying to figure out what they want to do with this mid control. They'll set up some alarm bots over on B main to see what happens with that. Is we're going to continue to have Moose hold on to that. LG do not want to overstep here. This round is so very important right now, folks. If FaZe end up winning this, LG's back in the hole, and FaZe will more than likely be able to shore that gap even more. And Dre on the entry will be able to knock this down into a 2v5, make it a 1v5 for Baby J, and we'll have to see if he wants to go aggressive here and try and damage some economies. And it seems like he wants to as he starts working his way onto site.
Very solid way to make sure that LG do not close up. The rest of this execute here with the full 5-man strength ready to go. They knew it was going to be a little tight moving them all through catwalk into the A site, as I believe they had the full stack coming in from there. So made sure they block it off with a nebula and pretty much everything else so that they get it without losing any of these players, especially considering they use the res on this round. Baby J, the only one that really could have done something about this, fell victim being behind that nebula. At least is going to be able to steal away a Proto's life here, doing some economical damage at the end of the round. But the focus now is going to be on survival. And this is unfortunately for Baby J, where things get a bit difficult. So running a Tig towards mid, looking to get revenge for their own fallen teammate. We will see the trade come out successfully. That's LG now going up onto 11, their penultimate point, as they get closer and closer. Match point. Map.
Difficult road right now for FaZe as they're trying to find the answers, but LG always seemingly prepared. And really not only LG, but Tig in particular has been lights out on these refrags. Every time FaZe thinks that they have an answer for something, he's always on an off angle just waiting for them to make a mistake. And inside of that round, he does it yet again. They try to get aggressive inside of mid. He swings top mid in an opportune moment. Is able to frag out onto Raze, just really limiting what FaZe is capable of and making it to where Luminosity's agent lineup is just that much more potent. But now for LG, they have to try and push forward through FaZe yet again here on those rifles, and more importantly, Baby Bay on that operator.
A lot of hesitance here in this round between both of these teams, reaching a very pivotal point of the match. FaZe realizing in this situation, the scan comes through, trying to deal that damage over on the Dre, but fortunately not going to be able to connect it here. Baby Bay, if he falls back after that shot goes out, his position's been revealed. Needs to keep him guessing, needs to make sure that operator is used to its full potency. That specific position no longer going to work out. The shots come out, and there we go. Man. Perfect timing. Catches Dre moving in with the support from the Owl drone. The call on the drone probably coming out too late to react to it. Such FaZe get the opening advantage this time. We'll see if it stays that way, though, as we've got a big buildup of players from LG trying to work their way out onto the B site. Unfortunately, Nano Swarms are holding them back, and so is the bullet from Baby J and Baby Bay, as 2 more players from LG are going to fall. Let's make it 3 as Baby Bay dashes into the site to pretty much seal the deal here. Everything falls to Dazzle now. in the 1v4, and as well, oh no, the operator not going to finish it off. Dazzle getting the better of Baby Bay out of that situation. Still has 3 more players to take down. He's retrieved the spike. Low time as well here. This would be incredibly impressive for Dazzle, but he's getting closer and closer. There's the 4th. The spike plant will go down. The rotate from Raucus is way too far away. Even crazier, if Dazzle needs it, he has both shock darts as well as the Hunter's Fury. His opponent's going to get too close for it, though. Dazzle moving around, only 5 shots left, but Raucus reads it better. He shuts down the clutch. This round goes to FaZe.
That got so unbelievably scary for FaZe. There's like, oh, it's fine. It's just Dazzle. It's one guy. What's the worst thing that could happen in a 4v1? They said as they get into a 1v1. So Raucus is able to finally shut him up and get that spike diffused, and operator back as well. Big pickups there for them, and honestly, love the play there from Dazzle. As soon as LG sets down the KJ ult, he's actually holding things down inside of tree, waiting for the rotation out from the A site, and he picks up one before skimping off to the other end. But it was FaZe that was able to stay on top of these trades throughout the entire round, and that's exactly why they ended up winning there. But we need FaZe to have these opening engagements go their way. That's the biggest thing that's been a standout for them, is when they're able to get these opening engagements, usually the rounds end up on their side of the fence. As for LG, though, they're able to battle back and use a lot of this utility to continue to force FaZe out of these situations where they can possibly get a frag on these members.
See here in the opening few seconds of the round, LG trying to be cautious of any aggression we might see from FaZe out through A main, but they're not taking the bite on that one. Just going to see a couple pieces of utility used primarily by FaZe here, allow them to peek a little bit more aggressively towards the inside. A massive amount of intel being exchanged. We are going to see the Hunter's Fury come out from Dazzle as he's going to pop some shots up onto the cat push here. For the most part, though, the members of LG able to avoid that. In fact, the Proto getting the opening kill versus Corey when he tries to get aggressive. This is a great push from Zachary. However, Moose catches it, only able to go 1 for 1. Plant now going down. Raucus going to see if he can be the difference maker. Can't stop the plant, but he can potentially kill both. No, only one goes down. Proto will self-heal after getting out of that fight, himself alive, and more importantly, keeping LG up 1 player as Baby J and Baby Bay now have to move in for the retake. Baby Bay up on top here. No vision to work off of. Does see the very top of the safe ponytail, but can't make the shot happen. Moose now swings out for main as well, shuts down the rest of this, and puts LG up on 12 points.
This is just looking like an entirely different Luminosity with the playstyle that they have today. Just so precise when they get those opening engagements. It's an immediate site take and attempt at a plan, and they'll get it done here besides FaZe's best efforts. But now we're in a troubling position for FaZe. It's round 21, 12-8. This is the round that LG can take away the map from FaZe. And well, looking across the board right now for FaZe, it's not the best buy in the world. It's actually going to be a Bucky for Baby J and a Sheriff for Zachary, as well as a few odds and ends here. Spectre, Phantom, as well as a Bulldog all coming into play.
A stinger on Baby Bay until a second ago when he decided to change it up over towards the shotgun instead. So let's see if these shotties and all the other scrap buys here for FaZe are going to be enough for them to survive. Keep in mind, they need 4 rounds consecutively now, and I'm not even sure if they've been able to achieve that throughout this map at all up until this point. So Herculean feat. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at LG potentially taking control of the opener. This is so unfortunate for Corey. He has no choice but to swing it, and he knows it'll probably lead to his death too. Raucus now going to respond here, at least taking down Moose there as the Hunter's Fury was ready to go. Knew that they had multiple players locked in A main. They could capitalize upon that. However, the held back playstyle allows for more players to move forward, and even worse, they had the Resurrection ready to go. So the player that was down by the Hunter's Fury, that's now going to be negated. We still at least have all the Astra Stars and utility to be thrown out here, but it won't matter when they're pushing themselves into the open. Baby Bay gets 1 going with the Bucky, is quickly traded out by Tigdo, and that leaves everything down onto Raucus.
Difficult position now for Raucus, but he's been here before. Last time it was a 1v4, and now it's a 1v3, but you might need a brain in order to win that out. LG making quick work of FaZe there. And man, the difference in strategy from yesterday to today for LG is just night and day. They don't even seem like the same team.
LG coming in a lot more aggressive here today, a lot more confident more than anything here we can say, versus XSET. We saw them playing off the site, constantly wanting to go for retakes, oftentimes because they lose a player or two. This time versus FaZe, they're very much ready to take on their opponents, and in fact, relishing that challenge on quite a few rounds there. And with that said, they're able to take a massive early advantage for themselves and leverage it in the second half towards a win. Impressive stuff for LG. They take the 1-0 lead. We'll see in just a moment whether they're going to be able to continue it, as we're going to be a few minutes away from map number 2. Before we get to that though, folks, a quick break, so stick with us and we'll be back for more action here at the VCTs.